Did you know that there are more mainstream EV SUVs than ever to choose from? So in the face of this knowledge, we did the only just and right thing, which is assemble 7 of the best in order to compare them and rank them. We'll be using the official MotorTrend of the Year judging criteria, which includes advancement in design, efficiency, engineering excellence, performance of intended function, safety, and value. And so, without further ado, joining us today are the Chevy Equinox EV, Ford Mustang Mach-E, Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, Tesla Model Y, Toyota BZ, and Volkswagen ID4. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey as we figure out which one comes out on top.
Following in the footsteps of the Chevy Bolt, the Chevy Equinox EV is GM's second affordable mainstream EV. This one an SUV for the masses. As the only front-drive car in this comparison, this Equinox EV LT produces a claimed 220 horsepower and a MotorTrend tested 0 to 60 time of 7.4 seconds. This isn't exactly one of those neck-snapping EVs you read about. Instead, it's about comfort and practicality, with a spacious cabin and dazzling screens. This front-drive model is also the most affordable one in our comparison. Just know that there's no more Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which could be a sore spot for buyers. Controversial name aside, the Ford Mustang Mach-E has continued to impress with its sporty road manners and various trims to choose from. This premium all-wheel drive model has features such as a 15.5-inch touchscreen and a B&O sound system. Options include the Sport Appearance package, which is new, so it looks more like a GT model. You get the GT's front fascia, 19-inch black wheels, and red Brembo front brake calipers. This car is also equipped with 1 year of Ford Blue Cruise, which is the hands-free driver assist system. Also, this model gets the optional extended range battery, which increases the power from 325 to 365. As one of the first mainstream EVs that wasn't a Tesla, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive limited wowed us with its retro-futuristic design and practical interior. Winner of our 2023 SUV of the Year award, the 2025 Ioniq 5 gets upgraded styling, better crash protection, improved battery capacity and range, and Tesla supercharger compatibility. The Ioniq 5 balances a comfortable ride and controlled handling, and it comes standard with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Power is a claimed 320 horsepower. If you want something a little sleeker and a little more car-like in shape, the Kia EV6 is your ride. It also gets a refresh for 2025, and this means updated front and rear exterior styling, bigger battery pack options, and better range as a result, and a revised center console. Now compatible with Tesla superchargers, charging is more convenient as well. The dual motor setup in this wind all-wheel drive trim gives it 320 horsepower and a 4.4 second 0 to 60 time. Of this bunch, the Tesla Model Y is definitely the one to watch. The Model Y is the best-selling EV in the world, so we're very curious to see what updates this so-called Juniper refresh brings. Visually, the Tesla gets those trendy, full-width light bars that are popular on Chinese EVs. Though the center console and infotainment touchscreen look pretty familiar, the seats have been reshaped, and the transmission selection stalk has been removed in favor of touchscreen controls, just like on the refresh Model 3. Other than that though, the basic battery and motor specifications carry over unchanged. So as a reminder, that means 397 horsepower for this long-range all-wheel drive trim. The Toyota BZ is the stubbornly hybrid automaker's take on an EV. Recently dropping the 4X part of its confusing name, the updated BZ can charge faster, offers more powerful motor options, and revises its dashboard layout. In the past, we found its cabin design bizarre, so it'll be interesting to see whether this refresh brings any improvement. There's 338 horsepower on tap here with this limited all-wheel drive model, and we expect the easygoing driving manners of the outgoing car to carry over. Finally, the Volkswagen ID4, another popular one for the masses, probably because it looks and behaves like a normal car rather than making being an EV its whole personality. Since it was introduced in 2020, the ID4 has enjoyed decent popularity. Updates from 2024, which only affect cars equipped with the 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack, as this one is, include a shifter stalk and a bigger infotainment screen, though still with the infuriating slider controls. But there's more power now, 335 horsepower in this all-wheel drive Pro S Plus model.
So joining us today are Scott Evans and Aaron Gold, who have generously donated their time to be a part of this MotorTrend comparison, which, by the way, is the most ambitious MotorTrend comparison to date, because not only was it 7 cars, it was 7 electric cars. So all of the compact SUVs, we invited everyone. They are here except for the Aria. That would have made a very nice, 8th car. But there were a lot of complexities involved with this test. Not only are we in a very hot desert, all these cars have individual needs, and also the charging was chiefly part of it. See, not all the cars have NACS or CCS plugs, it's either or, and then the fast chargers we were using either were NACS plugs or CCS plugs. So in order to get everything juiced up, Eric, can you please show the kind ladies and gentlemen the box? We
a very heavy box.
Rocked around all week with this box of adapters for each car, for each charger, to make sure that they were properly charged so that we could test them.
Because we had 2 different kinds of chargers, because the big ones are for fast charging, but you can't use those for slow charging. You have to have different small adapters for small charging, which makes no sense, but we were able to charge everything.
I know this looks complex and scary. This is all to say that actually we are moving in the right direction, because nobody was stuck looking for a charger that they couldn't use. Nobody was stuck at a charger, trickle charging 2 hours at a time. Every single car was able to use the available fast chargers. So to start off, actually, we want to start talking about the interiors. To begin, the Chevy Equinox EV. What did you guys like about it?
I like that, you get all the same tech features as the larger, more expensive Blazer EV. You get the same big screens. You can even get Super Cruise.
I thought the detail of the vents was really nice. That's something inspired by the Camaro, I believe. Some of these cars have kind of plain, dreary, plasticky interiors. I like the way the Equinox's dashboard looked.
Their decision not to even offer CarPlay and Android Auto, I understand it.
Dude, that's unforgivable.
It's a problem for a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, because then you're forced to use the existing infotainment system, which
is Google Maps.
It's Google Maps, but the rest of it is kind of cluttered, it's a little clunky, and it's just something that people are used to. So not offering that is definitely a demerit. So we move on now to the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I really like the fact that this sounds silly, maybe, but I like the little steering wheel.
Yeah.
It felt really good in the hand. And then also space-wise, I thought there was plenty of space. There's a front trunk, which not all of these EVs can claim.
Most of them don't.
Yeah, and there's plenty of other space in the back seat and in the trunk as well. I'm a very practically minded person, so this kind of scratched that itch for me.
And that big screen, I like the big portrait-style screen. I actually do. I think it's a nice way to organize information, and it also makes more sense for your mapping to see where you're going.
It is, but also it ends up with some things are way down here.
Yes.
And when there are physical controls like the volume knob, which is very cool, the knob on the screen, but the seat heaters are way down here in the corners.
There is Blue Cruise, and that's a nice feature, and we all used it over the course of this testing.
And it does exactly what it says it will do. It works exactly the way they've advertised it. It even does the lane changes entirely automatically without your input, but it doesn't overpromise anything.
So the Ioniq 5, what did we like and dislike about the Ioniq 5?
Honestly, my favorite little thing in the inside of that car is the movable center console.
It seems like they're the only automakers thinking about what to do with that center space. And there's so much about how to get the most storage, how to make it convenient, how to make it comfortable.
My one gripe is that I'm a very average 5'9". When I sit in the backseat, I've got a million years of leg room because I have short legs, but I've got half an inch, one finger's worth of headroom, and I'm not that tall. So anyone who's even slightly taller than me is going to be head in the ceiling in the backseat of the car.
So the Kia, actually, this is not so much endemic to all EV6s, but just this one, that green was so
Green's
good.
an
The
choice.
green interior.
I love that the automakers are taking a little more chance on colorful interiors again. And we're not doing the 1980s all blue velour interior.
Sorry, what was wrong with the all blue velour?
But I like that we're doing some color here very thoughtfully, and it looks really good, and it makes the car feel richer and more expensive than it is.
And again, that center console, that thing is just a work of art. It's beautiful, it's cantilevered, it combines a wireless charging pad, the shifter, the seat heating and steering wheel heating switches. It's a nice integration. But the unforgivable sin
Yeah.
of the Kia is the combination stereo and air conditioning controls. I hate it, hate it. It's just the worst thing
Let it out
ever.
to the mountains.
I hate it! Okay, I'm done. And what it does is the left dial, for example, if you're in climate, is your temperature,
Yes.
right? But it's also your volume.
Yes.
So if you have it on stereo and you go to turn up the volume and you happen to grab it in such a way that your hand brushes the controls, instead of changing the volume, you blast yourself with hot air.
Now we can move on to the Tesla. So this is the Juniper update, but beyond that, there wasn't a huge amount of changes inside, like seat-wise. So the seats, I think, they feel a little more comfortable than the outgoing one. And also the rear seats now have automatic fold down and lift up, whereas the other ones were, I think, manual.
A really clever thing is that when they're just like changing the recline, they move slowly so you can get it right where you want it. But if you hold it down, like I want to fold the seats, it suddenly realizes that what you're doing, and it's like, oh, I better speed up. You don't want to be here all day waiting for this thing to go, like it goes quicker. And I can't believe nobody else has figured that out.
And then I guess we have to talk about the biggest change, I think, in the interior of the Model Y, which is they got rid of the column-mounted transmission stock, and it is now that swipe to drive touch, which is predictive, but not always correct in its predictions.
It's a lot better to use. It used to be literally a coin flip, and it's actually gotten pretty good. So
Yeah.
credit where it's due. And having it right there on the right side of the screen, it's not that difficult. I mean, versus moving a column shifter or swiping your finger up and down, it's forgivable.
And then next we have our Toyota BZ.
Oh.
We go. Okay, let's start what we like. What do we like about it?
I liked getting out of it to go drive something
Okay,
else.
what did you like about it?
I like that they improved the instrument cluster.
They did.
On the original BZ4X, it was this sort of little screen kind of sticking up, and it was just above the steering wheel, and it was really hard to put the steering wheel somewhere where you could see the whole screen.
Yeah.
And this time they've moved it up and closer to the windshield a bit, so it's a little easier. It still feels like the steering wheel's kind of in your lap, but like it's better.
I like the seat. The seat was comfortable.
The seat's very good.
It was very supportive.
I happen to like the old setup, even though it was weird. Now it looks like they put a big fill-in panel. And
yeah,
it
because
just
they made
it's
the
so much
binnacle this
wasted
big,
space.
and the
Yeah.
screen is still this big. So
Yes.
it's like there's all this empty space on the sides of it. It's like, why didn't you make the screen
And the-
bigger?
And
the
you
layouts
actually
are-
observe it. It's like big screen and then littler screen. Why?
The
What's-
information's too small. They have this center console that's you could land an airplane on.
We have to talk
What's
about the center
taking
console.
up that space in there? It's
Well,
like
it's
it
too-
encroaches your knee space.
Do you
and
notice how
then-
it's always touching the right side of
It's
your calf?
always touching.
It's always touching.
Always.
It's a flawed design, and then they tried to fix it, but there's no fixing it without a complete redesign or just a new car.
Last but not least, we have the Volkswagen ID4, the theoretically EV for the people.
Well, and I honestly want to draw a comparison since we were just talking about
Yeah.
the tiny screen on the Toyota. The Volkswagen also has a tiny screen. The graphics are much better.
Yeah.
It's much easier to read.
It's simpler.
It's laid out much better. It's simpler, and it sits right on top of the column where it moves with the column. So it's always right behind the steering wheel. It's never blocked by anything. That's how you do a small screen.
Well, and Volkswagen stuck to the basics. It shows your speed, and it shows what's around you, and it shows whether you turn left or right. Nice and simple. But again, they need to put a volume knob back in the car.
I think of the 7 that we have here, this is the most car-like.
Yes.
The rest of these, there is an implication like you are driving an EV, whereas this one's like you're driving a car that happens to be electric.
Right. And I think that's good for a lot of people who are not big car enthusiasts, who are not big tech enthusiasts, aren't EV enthusiasts. It just feels like any other brand new small crossover.
Now let's go over specs. In order from shortest range to longest range, according to MotorTrend's own test figures, the cars are as follows. Volkswagen ID4 all-wheel drive Pro S Plus, 335 horsepower, 208 miles. Toyota BZ Limited all-wheel drive, 338 horsepower, 222 miles. Hyundai Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive Limited, 320 horsepower, 234 miles. Ford Mustang Mach-E Premium all-wheel drive, 365 horsepower, 252 miles. Tesla Model Y long-range all-wheel drive, 397 horsepower, 252 miles. Chevy Equinox EV LT, 220 horsepower, 262 miles. And finally, the Kia EV6 Wind all-wheel drive, 320 horsepower, 266 miles.
So that's what everything is on paper. In practice, let's talk about how everything drove. The Chevy Equinox EV. What did you like about how it drove, Scott? We'll start with you.
I mean, you asked me what I like, but the most thing I remember about that car is torque steer.
Yeah.
It really, it's always tugging at the wheel because it's front wheel drive. But you know what? That car, it's very comfortable and quiet. It was one of the more quiet ones here. I really liked that about it. It was very just easy and pleasant to drive.
What do you think, Aaron?
I thought it was the same, yeah. I mean, it clearly was down on power and it's a little slop in the steering, but it also had a kind of nice relaxed demeanor to it. And I think the most in common, again, as with the Interior, the most in common with Chevrolet's gasoline-powered cars.
I agree with the relaxed driving. I also was fine with the power, even though it was lower than everything else. It didn't feel like it was trying to tear my head off, and it was very manageable. I did not like the torque steer, and I'm someone who likes torque steer. We're gonna talk about cons now. I actually like torque steer, but I felt like this car was fighting me the entire time, and the steering was just very numb and communicated absolutely nothing through the steering wheel. So that shook my confidence a bit. As for the Mustang, there was
the opposite.
The absolute opposite. There was so much character in this. It was just a fun, athletic, but also chill car if you needed it to be.
Yeah, this car has way more personality than any other car here.
Yes.
I know the Mustang name is very controversial, but in that regard, it earns it. In the way it drives. Like, it's okay, it doesn't drive like a V8 Mustang, but like, it has way more character than anything.
But you know what? You get that view out the hood, just like you would see in a Ford Mustang. You got plenty of power under your, under your foot. Yeah, I found it very engaging. Nice, firm, kind of sporty ride. I liked it.
Cons?
Cons? I mean, I really like this car. I'm like, this is hard.
The ride could be a little bit better controlled. It was a little bit on the firm side. I think the Chevy is a little bit more comfortable.
But I think that paid back in the handling though. So I'm okay with that. I mean, all of these cars, and this one suffered a bit too, is the tires end up being really loud because they're all on fuel economy, high efficiency tires for maximum range. And those tend to be very hard, and it means noise in the cabin. This isn't the worst, but it did stand out to me a bit.
Because it's the efficiency tires, I felt it was a little under-tired. I was running out of grip a little bit in places. You could get a little more tire squeal when you ordinarily wouldn't. And that's something to think about if you want to drive it in a very brisk way. As for the Hyundai, what did we like?
I'm going to steal something from you, Scott, that you said in deliberations, which is great. You can tell this is engineered by the same people who did the Ioniq N, which is a magnificent car. I thought it was such a nice compromise of comfort, visibility, and knowing its way around a curvy road.
Yeah, we treat compromise like a dirty word sometimes, but actually sometimes it's a really good thing. Like there has to be a trade-off between handling and ride quality. That's just a fact of physics. And a good compromise gives you a car like the Hyundai. Like, it is comfortable and rides well in everyday situations. It's very nice to drive. But then when you do get it on a twisty road, it is actually fun to drive.
I thought it was so agreeable. It didn't feel like the Mustang was definitely more athletic, and at times it felt like it wanted you to drive a little faster than you were going. But the Hyundai was perfectly happy to just do whatever you needed it to do.
Agreeable is such a great word. And that's something that's important about all the vehicles in the segment. It's one of the advantages of electric cars. You have the power of a sports car and the comfort and the heavy feel of a big family car.
And as for the Kia, I think another pro is, remarkably, again, they are the same car, but characteristically, this one does drive a little more athletically than the Ioniq 5. It was a little more akin to the Mustang. I thought it was definitely more spirited, and it welcomed more enthusiastic driving.
Right. Anyone says that like all electric cars are the same, they're just, electric motor just goes fast in a straight line, like, drive a few of them.
I had the most fun in the EV6. It has the profile of kind of a hot hatchback, and it has that same feel in the way it drives, but it doesn't cross over into discomfort, which is what I really liked about it.
For whatever reason, it didn't connect with me emotionally. I went and I go, oh, yep, this thing can go quickly around a corner, and that's technically impressive. But the Mustang, I'm like, this is fun. I'm really enjoying this. And this, I'm like, this is very cool what this can do.
Did it feel like they were intentionally leaving room between this one and say the GT?
Probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, the EV6 GT is way over the top. I mean, that thing is bonkers. So I feel like this one could go a little harder for me.
As for the Tesla, how did we? Okay, so I'll say I liked the heavy steering. Because it felt very substantive. I felt like I was doing something with the steering, and the steering wheel was a nice small size. It felt athletic, and boy, did they finally fix the suspension between this one and the outgoing one, because the outgoing one, the suspension was so jittery that it actually started to affect the steering. It made the steering very quick and unsettled and anxious, and this one just felt a lot calmer.
I did not like the way the Tesla drove at all. I mean, Tesla's whole thing is the car can drive better than the person. That's how it feels like it was set up. I like a small steering wheel, but I thought the steering overreacted when you turned in. It was very hard to be precise, complete opposite of the Chevy. I thought the power came on too abruptly. You either had too much or not at all, and then you're fighting the traction control system. To me, if I really drove the Model Y hard, I thought it completely fell apart. And while the ride was improved, I still think it was horrible. I thought it was too jittery,
to be
too
fair, it was
uncomfortable.
not amazing like some of the other ones here. It was better than what the other one was.
It was an improvement, but it's still bad. And I think all it takes is a drive in the Ford, the Kia, the Hyundai, or even the Chevrolet, or actually any of the cars here. A drive in any of the cars here will reveal that Tesla's got a long way to go for ride comfort.
Now, see, I do think we are discounting one thing, and that is a matter of the engineer's perspective, like the car that they designed and why they designed it. A lot of car companies have done this over the past, where the way they make a car sporty is by just cranking up the gain on everything, making the steering really quick, making the throttle really touchy, making the brakes really grabby, and they've really leaned into that much, and that's made a lot of Tesla owners feel like their cars are super quick. I mean, they've made their whole name on super quick. So I understand what they were going for, and how that, reverberates with some customers, especially customers who don't already own sports cars or drive them regularly. But yeah, not to my taste either.
How about the Toyota? I actually like this car more than I thought I would. It was actually quite fun to drive quickly. There was good power, and I didn't mind the low steering wheel position. It was something to get used to. I'm just not used to driving something quickly with my arms down here. I feel like control is up here, but this somehow makes it a little more relaxed. But I did enjoy driving it. I thought I had good feedback. It was comfortable, and the steering was pretty direct.
I've always thought that the BZ has a great chassis under it.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been like good to drive. It's just the rest of the vehicle had issues that needed work. So, and they didn't get rid of that. They didn't screw that up. It does feel like they did a lot of like benchmarking the Tesla, because it also has very quick steering.
Yeah.
Again, not to my taste. So
Yes, I found that steering overly abrupt. But I'll tell you what I actually really liked about the Toyota was I thought the ride quality was really nice.
It's comfy.
It is.
It really did a good job of cushioning the bumps. It was just a comfortable car. And, it's a very hard thing to do because these things are all extraordinarily heavy. And, when that weight starts moving up and down, it's very hard to develop a suspension setup that's going to control that movement without making the thing ride like, the Tesla.
ID4. I couldn't get into this one. All the controls just felt a little too loose. The steering was a little too loose. There was a little too much play in the brake pedal. And there was not true one-pedal driving, which annoys me because I love one-pedal driving. It is one of the great perks of driving an EV, I feel. So I thought that was a missed opportunity.
The Toyota has that problem too. And it's like one of those things, like you've designed all the software anyway. Like, you just need to go the last 5%.
Just turn it on.
To make it up to the customer, right? Let the customer decide, do we like it? Great, here it is, you can use it. You don't like it? Great, turn it off. But like, we're just not gonna do it is frustrating, and you're alienating certain customers. But no, so my thing with Volkswagen, I actually did kind of like it. I thought when we got on the twisty roads, I felt a little hint of that like Golf, GTI flavor just buried way down there somewhere. Like, it had just a little bit of athleticism to it that reminded me of, the Volkswagens that I really like. So I thought it did have some character there. But yes, it is trying to be very much a everyday commuter SUV.
I thought that was great as an everyday commuter SUV. The feedback that I was feeling and all the tactile points I felt didn't justify how much that thing cost.
And by the way, I'm with Scott. I like light steering. Audi does that. I did like the way the Volkswagen went down the road. I thought it had a kind of a light on its feet feel. The way the car drives, except for the lack of one pedal driving, you can shift it to the brake mode where it will slow down a lot, but you actually have to put your foot on the brake to stop the car. And I know it may sound silly, especially to those who haven't experienced it, that we're so on about one pedal driving, but once you experience it, it really is brilliant to just be able to use one foot to control the car.
Especially when it's done right. Like, Chevy and Ford are really good at it. Tesla's good at it. There's a lot of them that are pretty good at it. Hyundai and Kia are good if you can get it into the right mode, which takes, you have to do every single time you get in the car.
Yeah.
And then, Toyota and Volkswagen didn't even try.
The thing is, I think as a luxury experience, luxury is doing less, right? Less effort. And one pedal driving is the ultimate luxury thing to do where you don't have to use a second pedal. So luxurious.
But if we are talking about driving less, we do have to talk about Tesla FSD for just a moment. I'd mentioned that, I thought the Ford delivered exactly what it said it would. And that's my problem with FSD, because it does do very impressive things. It can navigate itself to your destination.
The highway,
if you get
and
off
then
the freeway.
pause at a yield sign.
It does very
amazing.
Impressive things, but it's inconsistent. And there's no like warning sign like, oh, this is when it's gonna start messing up. Like, you're just going along and you're just gotta be hyper vigilant, because at some point it's going to cross the yellow line. Like it did that to me on one road a couple of times. And then other times it was perfect. And then sometimes we got to the destination. Every single person who got to the destination using FSD got dropped off somewhere else. Someone was in the back, someone was across the street. For me, it pulled halfway into the lane with the turn signal on and just stopped and was like, okay, I'm here.
It tried to put me across the road from the destination, which is not...
And we have to make the point that the programming in Ford's Blue Cruise, and even though we don't have in this car GM Super Cruise, is very conservative. If the car has any doubt that it's not going to be able to navigate, it makes it very clear you need to take over. FSD assumes it can do everything, and it can't. And the problem with FSD, and I see it as an ethical issue, is if it does something wrong, you don't just endanger yourself, you endanger the person coming down the road that you're going to turn right in front of. And let's not beat around the bush. FSD does that. We've all had experience where it just crossed a double yellow line. It's not a safe system, and it amazes me that regulators have not stepped in about FSD.
And credit where it's due, they have finally put a driver monitoring camera in it that does actually pay attention to what you're doing and is better about making you keep your hands on the steering wheel. Like, they have made improvements in the safety of it, but it is still very much an unfinished product and is still, putting other road users who did not sign up to be beta testers into that situation. And that feels not good.
And let's not forget that if FSD goes wrong, it's not like you just reboot the system. You get T-boned by a semi and wind up in the hospital.
Yeah, the stakes are high. Here's a fun fact about 6 of the cars here. They are all NACS compatible, which means you can charge them at select Tesla superchargers. This is great news, heightened convenience for everyone. The only exception is that ID4 over there, Volkswagen says that NACS compatibility is coming imminently, so either this year, next year, not really quite sure yet. But that is great news. It means that you don't have to spend as much time looking for chargers that you have to use. And of the cars here, the Kia, the Hyundai, and the Tesla charge the fastest. And that means you don't have to sit at the charger for super long.
Anyone who's delved into EVs knows that the charging networks are not all created equal. And the Tesla superchargers are the most abundant and generally the most reliable. They're usually working. It will make your life so much easier to be able to plug into those, because we found even this week, some of these older chargers that were here, are half of them don't work. There has been issues. They work for 5 minutes and then they error out. But we took them to the brand new chargers. Those worked great. We didn't have superchargers, so we had to use the adapters. That's annoying, but very soon all cars will be Tesla compatible and you won't have to even do the adapters anymore. So it's rapidly getting better.
Yeah, this is really good news. And I think with everything that we had here and all the headwinds we had, we were front and center. We saw what ownership looks like in 2025. Right, so we have talked about specs, we've talked about range, charging, interiors, driving impressions. Now the final thing to do is to rank them from 1 to 7. This is what everybody was waiting for. So let's do it from least to best, because I like to build a little tension. I will preamble this by saying none of the cars we invited here are bad. They are all good cars, and anybody who buys them will have a nice customer experience, but this is within the confines of all 7 that we had here. In last place was the ID4. And that was because of value. We found that it was quite expensive for what you got. The range wasn't that great.
In the end, it just didn't give you as much for your money as the other cars here.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the inside of that car and writing notes and looking around being like, they want like $60K for this interior? Like, geez. And in 6th place, the Toyota BZ. We talked about how the previous BZ4X was not good, and this one makes that better, which we love to see, but it still doesn't make it even kind of competitive with the rest of what we have here, There's only so much you can do to improve a flawed product, and this just doesn't feel to me like the best that Toyota can do, especially given the confidence of all their other products.
Right, I mean, it's very loud inside with those tires. The center console is huge and an inefficient use of space. The gauges and steering wheel is still kind of a weird, awkward position. The range is still just okay in this group, especially. There's just a lot of things that still need to be better.
Yeah, it needs work. I mean, I'm looking forward to see the 3rd version of this car.
And the all-new BZ will be great.
Yes, maybe they'll just keep cutting off letters. It'll just be the B eventually. But that's what keeps it in 6th place. So in 5th place is the Chevy Equinox EV. And this one we will say, it is not because it is front drive or lower in trim. No, the issues that we had with it have everything to do with any Equinox EV that they would have sent us, you know? We didn't really love how it doesn't have Apple CarPlay, some of the build quality materials, there was some issues there.
Same, yeah, it's a perfectly nice car, but the materials don't carry all the way to the back. The experience gets worse the farther back. Like a lot of these cars doesn't have a front trunk, but some of them actually do. It doesn't have CarPlay. Like there's just things missing that even if you got a fully loaded one like we had asked for, like it still wouldn't be better than kind of middle of the pack.
It also doesn't charge that fast.
It's very slow to charge.
Yeah. And in fourth place, the Tesla Model Y. Yes, it improved over the old Model Y, but it's, it still has kind of like Tesla annoyances. Like, why is there no real roof? Why are we so hot in these cars? Why is that a thing?
Right, they kind of went through and changed the things that people probably complained the loudest about, right? Like it rides better, still not great, but better.
Better.
The interior is nicer. So they got those things, but they did almost a little more than the bare minimum. They moved it forward, they improved it a bit, but they didn't really do anything they didn't have to do.
And we do have to talk about the, I feel, danger of autopilot and FSD. People who think that the car is more capable than it is are probably endangering themselves. And that feels irresponsible.
And to be fair to Tesla, the Model Y is the best-selling SUV in the segment. It would behoove them to keep it relatively the same. The problem is because of the Model Y, all these other cars have improved so much, and the Model Y is just getting left in the dust. And to me, I was frustrated by the fact that it did many things really well and many things really badly, and it averaged out to right in the middle, which is where it ended up.
You also didn't love how it looks, right? You don't love how it looks.
I'm making peace with the light bar, the Cybertruck-inspired light bar, but the rear end is just not good. Like, what happened there?
Third place, which is the Ioniq 5. The Ioniq 5 has been around for a while, but there's been small improvements here and there that just keep making it better and better and better. The overall package is great. We love the way it looks. We love the interior. We love the interior design. We love the way it drives. But this one is just, it feels very modernized and just fresher for 25.
Right. This is a previous SUV of the year winner.
It is.
And for good reason. But it hasn't changed a whole lot from then. And that was only a couple years ago. But the others in this group have moved forward. And so it's, a little bit stuck in place because, again, it didn't need to be that much better, but it's no longer like right at the cutting edge either.
It's worth noting that the competition between second and third place was very, very, very close.
Yes, and that's what put the EV6 ahead of the Ioniq 5 because we felt its advancement in design was definitely something to applaud.
Yes.
Yes, this refresh, it wasn't a huge refresh, but they, again, went and made like the right changes to take this car that was already very good and really kind of push it forward and make it even better and even more compelling.
It also had the best range of everything that we had here. Yes. Interesting because, again, same car, but it's just that shows you what the power of engineering or of aerodynamics, because it is just a smaller amount of car to move through the air. So it takes home the prize for our range test.
Right. Longest range, fastest charging, and still like a good value, not the most expensive car here by any means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this was good. This was very hard for us because, of course, the very first place then by process of elimination in this comparison is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. There was almost, I think, more than half of us that wanted this car to be first place. And it's a very similar conversation to what we had with the Kia and the Hyundai products, which is the Mach-E has been around for a while, but Ford has just been quietly making improvements over and over and over so that this just keeps staying fresh and at the top of the pack. It had character, it was fun to drive, it has good range, it has good value, it looks nice. We really liked it. We had a ton of fun in this car.
Yeah, this is the power of incremental improvement. Blue Cruise keeps getting better and more impressive. I swear they've started to sprinkle in some like of the handling magic from the Mach-E Rally off-road one into this one to make it even more fun to drive. The materials throughout the car feel richer than a lot of the others here.
It feels premium.
And they carry back. If you sit in the back seat, you still get the neat fabric trim and the contrast stitching. It doesn't feel like you get, cheaped out anywhere in the car. And it's also one of the few here that actually has a usable frunk.
And you know what? And there's just a core competency to it. It's a reminder that Ford is not a technology company. Ford is a car company. And they haven't forgotten the basic things that make an SUV really, really good, all of which are incorporated in the Mustang Mach-E. For me, this is just a great all-around vehicle, and that's why, for me, it was the #1 choice.
And so we are so happy to announce the winner of this comparison test is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. For the entire comparison, head on over to MotorTrend.com to read it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.